right, we're recording on the Zoom, and we will be recording on Wirecast, and we are live. Good morning, everyone. Episode 17 of the RINO podcast. Kaitlin is at an undisclosed location due to internet issues, but she is joining us today. How are you? Good morning.
I'm pretty good. An update on my teeth troubles. I got my root canal done. That it actually wasn't as awful as I thought it would be, but I'm better now.
Good.
I still have to get the crown done, but yeah, I'm good.
Are you prone to teeth stuff? Like as your lifelong, what's your level of dental appointment, dental frustration?
So I can go to the dentist twice a year and be fine. I have like pretty strong teeth for how they are, but this one has always given me an issue.
Do you get cavities often?
Not really.
I am a middle-aged man. Guess how many cavities I've had?
0. I bet you've had 0.
1.
My husband's, Mr. Caitlin's he's had 0.
Good for him.
SOB, God.
Yeah, I know. Because you deal with people that are just like, they get them all the time and they're brushing constantly, flossing constantly. I've flossed more in my later years. I always brushed regularly and thoroughly and had very good dental hygiene, and didn't eat too much sugar. But that was, I think that contributed to having good teeth. I'm disappointed in you. Yesterday was the Kentucky Derby, Miss Kentucky. And
I know.
You forgot your bonnet. What's going on?
Well, right now I'm in the undisclosed location, so I basically had to run out of my house because I had no internet. So I have no hat. Yeah, so the Derby, for people who are from Louisville, is not really the event they watch. They watch the Kentucky Oaks more, and that's the event they go to.
Come on, that might be the event they go to because of tourist stuff, but the Derby's still the Derby.
Well, no. So like, this is what they do. They'll go to the Oaks on Friday because everyone is out of school on Friday. Like, I never had school the Friday before Derby. It's always been a thing. They'll go to the Oaks and then they have a huge party on Saturday. So it's still like a big thing, but they never really go to the Derby unless they are in a box or something.
For your fashion sensibilities, that's got to be like the Super Bowl.
It is.
The outfits and the hats and the suits and the dresses. I mean.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is. And they actually had a huge crowd. They had almost, I think, 60K there, considering what's going on with the pandemic. I didn't see a lot of masks, which was awesome.
Well, most people either had it or have gotten the vaccine at this point.
Yeah.
And is Kentucky strict? I don't even know. I know they have a horrible Dem governor, but what's their status?
As my mother likes to refer to him as Captain Diaper Pants, he got booed yesterday. I mean, he was pretty strict on COVID. I have a personal story. I won't say it out loud.
But he allowed the event to take place and fans to go. So that's
I think he probably at this point, like, if he said no on this, people would have rioted.
Okay.
Like, that's how big the event is. Like, for them to cancel it last year or move it to and have no spectators. I think they ran it last September, if I remember correctly, or August. I mean, that's big.
Right. Cool. Well, good for them. Okay. Well, back to episode 17. We got a lot to cover today on both the live episode, YouTube episode, and the Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe, people, to patreon.com/RINOpod, patreon.com/RINOpod, patreon.com/RINOpod. Only $1 a month. That's like 25 cents an episode. Well worth it. You get extra content and access to everything we put out in the whole catalog. So first up, Kaitlin, let me finagle this. We are going to have to cover, our friend, fellow Republican, Jeff Deal, and his bid to become the next governor of Massachusetts. So apparently this has been floating around here, that we covered, touched on this in past episodes. So Jeff Deal is thinking about running for governor. He's probably definitely going to run for governor. I don't know why. I kind of know why, but the reasons are not very good. So the other day, he posted this in response to a Boston Herald article about him running in the state of the Mass GOP. And I just want to start out with this because I've tagged Jeff in this. Jeff, this is from your account, from your state committee account, quoting a Priorities for Progress poll. Now, Kaitlin, I don't. Can you see this on your screen? The graph at the bottom. There's a chart at the bottom that
I have to look real close because I'm old now.
Okay, so and he's saying Deal ... got more votes than the Democratic ticket ... Okay, now the problem you have here is the red line is Jeff's total, right? Something like less than 900, or around 900, over 900,000 votes. The blue got less than 900,000 votes for governor, and the purple are those who split their ticket. Now, the problem you have, Jeff, is you're quoting this as if the red line is bigger than the blue line. Technically true. But the problem is you're running against the guy who got virtually all of the red line and the vast, vast majority of the purple line. Okay? So that's who you're running against in the primary. And you're using this and you're citing this as a reference to, well, basically say, and by the way, I should say this is, I mean, Deal Boss GOP. I'm assuming that's his official state account, a state committee account. But the fact that you're quoting that and you're running against Charlie, who beat the Democratic ticket by 33 points in a general election, that's not something you should quote. Now, look, I get it. I get where all this is coming from. Jim wants to take on Charlie to, enact some sort of retribution for slighting Trump and personal issues between the two of them. Okay, fine. Do it. They're using Jeff as a, the avatar to do that. And then the money behind the scenes is all making that happen. I still don't know how they plan on achieving their end goal. Maybe, this is a big maybe, Jeff wins convention, right? But he definitely doesn't win a primary. It'll go the same way as Scott Lively, as Mark Fisher in 2014. It will go the same way. Charlie Baker will win the Republican nomination for governor. And then all he'll have spent probably too much money during the primary. And hopefully it won't be affect again the general, because Maura Healey or Sonia Chang Diaz, I assume Sonia Chang Diaz I see as a stronger threat. But you're just increasing the likelihood of weakening Baker in a general election. And it's not a strong likelihood, but a little bit. And increasing the likelihood of a radical progressive for our governor. And basically cutting off your nose to spite your face, or shitting where you eat, or whatever you want to call it. It's stupid. And at the end of the day, come September, you're no longer useful to anybody for these purposes. So you have a year and a half left of being sort of in the loop, and it'll be another loss, this time in a primary. For what purpose? Now, I can't convince anybody to do anything different. Jeff Deal supporters are Jeff Deal supporters. They love him and Howie Carr and love saying Tall Duvall and Charlie Faker and all these corny ass fucking lines that nobody thinks are funny. And they're in this little bubble. But the bubble, the close bubble's a few hundred people. The wider bubble is the Howie Carr audience, maybe 80 to 100K. And then the rest are, 250,000 of regular Republican voters, and they're going to vote for Charlie Baker. That's it. That's the breakdown. I just...
Politics is a zero-sum game. We need to be putting forth the person who wins, especially in a state like this where We don't have the numbers. So why are we not doing that? That's the basic principle I'm operating on. It doesn't really matter about the personalities. We need to put first the person who wins, and you need to get over the pettiness. I'm sorry. I went to all girls school for 4 years and I was in sorority for 4 years. So like, I just don't do this nonsense anymore.
The problem is they do. And there's little things there's little victories that the folks who just don't like Governor Baker can do to make life more annoying. But at the end of the day, that's what it amounts to. It's just more annoying.
Right.
You know, state committee votes, town committee caucuses, things like that. We'll get into that drama in a second. But it's unproductive. And the thing is, they don't care about it being productive. You know, they're not here to actually. This is what is critical. And for folks who want to know why, or don't understand why this all happens, it's largely personal, petty. They're in the club, they're out of the club type of sensibilities. It's just people's feelings. It's not actual coming together and being a team, which, you know, the God's honest truth, I probably agree with Jeff Deal on policy more than I do Governor Baker on a large, you know, if we're talking about policy up and down all of the list of things we could bring into account. But that doesn't mean anything if you can't win.
Right. I mean, we also have to understand that to be elected as a Republican in Massachusetts, it's got to be incremental change over time. So you want to put the party in the best position to be able to put forth that incremental change. Because, I mean, we're dealing with a behemoth Massachusetts Democrat Party. You have to, they have extreme power, and we have to be honest about that, right? And in order to make the change that we want, we can't go punching in. We have to kind of kill them with kindness and get our small policy wins in first. And I think Baker, for the most part, has been doing that with, you know, like the abortion bill that went through, that he was like, no, I can't sign that. And that one was, you know, not even really extreme. It was basically, can 16-year-olds get an abortion without their parents? Like, that is a moral question that should be asked. And I agree with Governor Baker's position on it. And so that's one of the things I think the Republican Party here needs to realize, that we have to come back to voters. Like, we have to really see where they are versus maybe where the policy positions of the state party or a state committee are, and really go with that. We also need to have a good slate of candidates on the back end, but that's another story.
And we need to be able to communicate why our ideas and principles for all those issues, even the ones that the state committee, whom I might agree with and are much more conservative than, say, the governor, we can operate in a way that promotes those.
Right. And Jeff, you and I are the only people who are doing that. We're the only people who are really doing that with this. I mean, I hate saying it like that.
It's correct, unfortunately.
Right.
You know, we had plans. You know, if 2 votes went the other way, it would have gone a dramatically different way, and we'd be having different conversations. But point being is, there's a whole host of things we should be doing, and the bigger thing is like this nonsense of backing Jeff to take on Governor Baker, you know, supported by Jim. It detracts from the state legislative races we need to win, the state rep races, the state senate races. Like, this is critical stuff, which is the job of the chair.
I think that those positions actually are more important right now. And he, you know, the chair and the governor should be working together on filling those seats. If we have a huge divide between those 2 positions, then that doesn't benefit the party. And again, like, I mean, we saw it 2 weeks ago not 2 weeks ago, within the last week of the Virginia GOP, with Ronna McDaniel coming in and being the boss and essentially one of their votes for their convention. Maybe she should do that for us.
Well, it'd probably be bigger from the RGA, Republican Governors Association. I mean, you know,
she hopped into a Zoom meeting and told them essentially what they needed to be doing.
Right.
It was pretty fantastic, to be quite honest.
It might come down to that. I mean, this is penny ante bullshit. It's just it's nonsense. And what here's what I want to, here's what's real important in case anybody's watching this live or picks up on this. I'm not going to stop pointing it out. As often as these little things come up in the paper and the Herald prints it and the backdoor little feeding people stories, do it, keep doing it. And what'll happen is over the next year before convention, we'll keep having to rally people to the cause. In the Baker campaign, look, you can't do this stuff starting in 2022. You gotta start getting people back to RTCs, getting delegates set up, identifying people, start showing up, and just swamp them with numbers. If you leave it too late, it's just going to be a press headache and more of a headache. Why? You can do this all ahead of time. There's no reason to wait till another time.
Yeah. I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, the RTCs are going to start having events soon enough. I mean, COVID's pretty much on its way out, so you need to start this really now.
Yeah. My experience with that, is just that they can be a bit too aloof about the urgency of it and delay, especially as we're getting into summer. Maybe I guess if you start it up in the fall, we'll be okay.
My town doesn't have RTC, so I have to go to the next town's stuff. I wish they did. I'd be the only one.
I would say maybe you could establish one.
Yeah,
but it kind of looks like no, you can't, because that's our next topic right now.
Yeah, I'd be the only Republican in Salem, Massachusetts, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't, but it would be more delegates for Baker if you did. So let me do this here.
I could go into the Hispanic area and I could push our outreach. I could. Yeah. That would be awesome.
Okay. Next up. All right. This came out in the Globe. This article is from MSNBC.
And this is it Emma Platoff? She was the one who did the article, I think, with Lenny Mira.
Oh, did she? Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah. You're right. She probably covers local politics. Okay, so
she's in Texas, I believe. Yeah. So she's.
Asian American Republicans accuse state GOP of pursuing discriminatory scheme to disenfranchise them in party elections. Okay, so we covered this a little bit last week about this, but then it gets into an email. So to recap this, there's an Asian American community in Boston that is. I really hope I had the thing up before. There's an Asian American community in Boston. Who is trying to establish city and ward committees in their ward, and what we covered last week was Jim Lyons was being incredibly not helpful to is the most generous way we can put it, or
obstinate and obtuse.
Yeah, obstinate and obtuse, and blocking them from getting set up. Now, you can give him the benefit of the doubt, and he was being purposefully, lazy about it and not setting them up. Probably true, because what sucks about this is this comes off as discrimination. I actually don't think it's like racial discrimination. I think it's just simply that Jim is trying to maintain a power base within the committee, right? So if more people, more delegates from a ward that is Charlie Baker, friendly, it weakens his position to change the rules, get Jeff Deal moving forward, and all this type of these type of backroom activities. That's what I don't think it's racial discrimination. I mean that sincerely. I do think it is the motivation to stop those ward committees from getting set up was purely internal politics. Another thing happened. There was an email that sent around by a different ward in the city by a young couple trying to become, I guess, state committee people. I don't know necessarily what their positions were. We might want to have them on in the future. But they blasted out an email to the entire Republican state committee about how Jim wouldn't help them set their ward up and get them slotted unless they wanted to remove Charlie Baker from the GOP executive committee. Asinine, just so stupid, and support his rule changes for the threshold for making the ballot as a statewide candidate. So this email went around to all the state committee members. It's also posted in that Boston Globe article. More of the same. So it's basically 2 times. So it's abundantly obvious Jim is purposefully not doing his job in order to maintain a slim. He's hanging on by his fingernails. It's like, if this is my cup. He's like, he's hanging on just to his very weak power in order to what? Screw over a sitting 2-term Republican governor. I just want to be like, what do you think the end game is here? Governor Deal? Okay, so aside from, let's play this out. This is not going to happen. But if it does happen, do you think Jeff Deal is qualified to actually be governor of the Commonwealth? Do you think they wouldn't ram through tax hikes and crazy progressive legislation that would override any veto just to piss him off? Not to piss him off, but just to piss everybody off, because he would be their Trump. They would have a field day. The progressives would be on the march. And what Baker does is he works with the more moderate Dems to all the crazy ideas. You notice they pop up, they bubble up. Sometimes they get vetoed, and then they go to committee, or they go to study, and they go to write a report, and then they all just fade away magically. Because the sane ones know this, and they bury it. But that won't happen with Governor Deal. The crazy stuff will move forward, and it'll get passed, and it'll be codified into law, and it'll be because Jeff Deal would be governor, which obviously we wouldn't get to that point. You'd just be electing. Just get used to the phrase Governor Healy or Governor Diaz, because that's all that's going to happen. That's all you're increasing the likelihood of.
Right. I mean, again, I think Baker acts as that stopper to the extreme progressive agenda, because the Democrats, they in a sense almost kind of fear his seriousness, because they know that he's a logical, reasonable person, and they know that deep down they're not. And I say this about most progressives. So if you're, don't like that I'm saying that, then whatever. It's always been my personal opinion.
You can come on and debate us.
Yeah, you can come on and debate us.
We'll prove to everybody in the world how unreasonable you are.
Right. I mean, again, if you have to scream in order to get your position across, then you lost. And I think Baker scares the ever living shit out of him. Yeah. Deal will not have that same type of prominence, and it puts us in a position where we're going to be set back. Just bottom line.
Yeah. I'm going to be, I kind of took, 2018, I just maybe took some time off from being directly involved, but I'm going to try to raise money if Baker runs for a 3rd term. I think he's going to. It's not official yet, but I'm going to try to raise money and help I can. By the way, if the governor happens to watch this, there's all kinds of media things that we can take.
Well, hello, Charlie.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, hello, Charlie.
We could set up a whole thing where you can set the narrative and not be reliant on the Globe or GBH.
And you can absolutely, we absolutely invite you on. We would love to have you on this podcast. We would put it on YouTube so everyone can let you talk freely about politics, anything. We could even talk football. That would be cool, this campaign. But yeah, please come on.
When he does win the primary, it will be it'll be probably as tough as the Coakley race in 2014. I think it's going to be, just because I think the media will just needs clicks, and the Globe won't support him. They'll support Healy or Diaz. And that will just be the narrative. He'll have a tougher time. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe the polling won't bear that out, but the media will try to force the issue. And lastly, you know, just to hit a finer point on what we talked about last week, and this more information coming out with this message to the state committee about another ward being, you know, not disenfranchised. This is just not the things a chairman of a party should be doing. We should be trying to grow the party and help.
That's your job. That's your job.
Helping people. Yep. And helping
That's
people
your one
set
job.
this up. It's
your one job. Bring in money, help build the party. That's your only job.
Yeah. And he's not specifically not doing it. So unfortunately.
And he's specifically giving reasons as to why he can't do it.
Yeah. I mean,
but that are bullshit.
Yep. The good thing now, though, is I think there's enough votes to block any rule changes he wants to go forward with. I think there's enough votes, you know, to stop the lunacy. If the chairman's election were held today, he'd probably lose. You know, I mean, depending on who was running and things like that. But oh well, stay tuned. This will be an ongoing topic because we're going into 2022, and you know, the governorship and state legislative races are an important thing, so we need to get that done. But next up, Kaitlin is going to educate me on the Liz Cheney drama because I am unfamiliar with. I've seen some tweets come across. Liz Cheney's, you know. I don't know. She's in leadership. She's pissing people off. The libertarians hate her, and I can't stand libertarians, but I don't, you know, whatever. Tell me what's going on.
Okay. So I actually didn't really have a big problem with Liz Cheney in the beginning, so I want to put that out now. Okay. I don't really hate her. My criticism is based on her job performance in general. She's the chair of the Republican Congress in the House. And her job is essentially similar to Jim Lyons in that she needs to put forth messaging and get us money. So that is her job. Right now within the Republican House Congress, a lot of people are very dissatisfied with her based on the fact that she's not doing this. She's not doing messaging very well because she keeps constantly talking about Trump to the media. Okay. And my personal opinion on this is if Trump is going to start deflating in prominence, then you need to stop talking about him and giving him air.
Well, the original dig against her was after January 6th, voted for impeachment, which, by the way,
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too, because for 2 months he was promoting conspiracy theories and it caused a riot, not an insurrection. A riot, not an insurrection. And he has some responsibility for that. And yeah, you know what? You should lose your job. You should lose your job as president. That's it. That's all. Yeah. Straightforward. There is some whitewashing going on by super duper hard, people who are clinging to Trump because it's their only thing. No, it was bad. It wasn't what the Democrats are saying, but it was still bad. And you don't get to have your job back. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Straightforward. So Cheney made the right call, and I know she caught a lot of flack. But it's over. But it's done with. It happened.
It's May 2nd. Okay, it's May 2nd. I feel like that probably would have gone into maybe February, but it's May 2nd. And she's still talking about Trump. She's still talking about Trump to the point where her staffers have to keep defending her. So they're wasting a lot of their work energy on defending her. And that is becoming very known to the rest of the Republican Congress, instead of her maybe focusing on messaging in opposition to Biden's progressive wish list, which needs to be opposed very heavily and often. So that's where a lot of people are becoming, they're starting to not oppose her based on her, like herself, but more or less opposing her based on her actions right now. She's lost the support of Kevin McCarthy. He's made some backhanded comments recently within the last week, which are not good for her. And then she lost the support, we think, of Steve Scalise, which is a major blow. I think there might be a vote on her leadership coming up. I'm not quite sure. Myself, I think that when you're a leader, you have to be on target all the time. A lot of it is optics, and it does matter, right? So if she's talking about Trump and not doing her job to raise money and be on messaging for Republican policies, then she's not really doing her job. And that's a problem. I see a lot of freshman representatives doing what they're supposed to, like Maria Salazar out of Florida. She's fantastic. Young Kim, oh my God, knocking it out of the park every single time I see her on TV. I'm not seeing the same out of Liz Cheney, which is disappointing to say the least. She should know what to do here. She's just not doing it. And so
why do you think that is though? I mean,
I think it's partially because I'm going to say this and it's going to sound worse than probably how I feel about it, but I think it's probably partial selfish reasons, partial she wants Trump to move on from the GOP. The how you get Trump to move,
but that's self-defeating.
Correct. And that's that's the biggest part of it. So I don't have this huge hatred of her. My criticism is based on her job performance. So the thing about the Trump stuff within the House caucus, time is going to get rid of Trump out of the caucus. Time alone. Okay. You giving him air and being antagonistic makes it worse. So why are you doing it and then wasting everybody's time on this? And that's my biggest, and that's what, from what I've been told, I'm not going to say who told me this, from what I've been told from people on the inside, this is the biggest criticism of her. It's not based on Trump itself. It's based on her actions when she is speaking on this.
Trump isn't mentioned that often anymore because
he really isn't.
Because
he's not
for obvious reasons, but also, I mean, he's hinting at 2024, but it's also half-hearted.
I agree.
I think he's just dangling it out there. He may run again. Okay.
I think he's dangling it out there for PAC money, to be quite honest, and the power of diddling that out with endorsements. That's kind of what what I get from it. I'm not getting that he really wants to run.
Yeah.
And I think from looking at his personal finances at the current moment and the amount of debt he has, that is also a bing stopper on him running for president again.
I'll tell you one thing. If you're thinking about running for president in 2024, if you're Kristi Noem, Ron DeSantis, I don't know, whomever else, what you learn your lesson from 2016. This is it. Whatever Trump says about you, if he decides to run again, I don't know. He'll make up some insult. And the thing is, the joke this time around isn't going to land as well. The sequel is never as good as the original. It won't work. All you have to say is like, okay, Mr. President, hey, you did a great job, Mr. President. I'm going to do a better job.
Well, I think
that basic message is like, hey, I supported in what you done. I think I can do a better job. And you know what? It'll just little by little, it'll peel people away and go, yeah, you could probably do a better job.
Well, I think the only 2024 candidate that we know of right now that really unites the base is our good friend from Florida, Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
And I've heard inklings that Liz Cheney has presidential aspirations for 2024.
I saw that. I saw something like that come through.
I would not be supporting her campaign or candidacy.
That'll fall. I don't.
I think she's more. Yeah, I don't think she has the political mindset to be it, and I don't think that she has the demeanor to be it either. So, and again, I love presidents who are governors.
Right, but this is one. Yeah, this is one thing though I want to point out to. Millennials like you that may not get things, okay? Because I'm Gen X.
Because I get it, right?
Well, we'll see. So Comfortably Smug, was a big Jeb guy, right? Now he's your age, right? He's in his 30s, I think. But he's worked on campaigns, but he was a big Jeb guy. And when I was in my 20s, when 9/11 happened, and the Afghanistan war and the Iraq war, and that took, I guess my generation, that was our growing up period. You were still, maybe in high school or junior high or something like that. Or
I was in 7th 10th grade when 9/11 happened. The invasion of Iraq happened when I was in the 8th grade.
Right. So a bit younger, you know, it's nobody's, this is not casting blame or anything, but I don't think millennials, and I think Smug's a millennial, and he's a Jeb guy. I don't think it registered how tainted the Bush name became because of it. Bush Cheney, and I'm relating this because of Cheney. I don't think the level of hatred and vitriol, and even, you know, with the Iraq war and
well, to make a point of that, right? Okay,
I just don't think that registered with younger Republicans, millennial and younger Republicans, of how just the older generation, like, yeah, no more Bush, and Cheney especially, yeah, just that name, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, we do have to look at the realistic. I think you're right? So like you and I, we do remember the downfall of the GOP from 2006 to 2008. I may have been young when that happened, but we got slaughtered in 2008. And so, yeah, we can blame Bush on that because you didn't help us set up ourselves for even success. And then the economic depression, not repression, but like we had a recession. The financial crisis happened, and that pushed the Democrats into a super majority. The Bushes had a bad name for a long time. I think the only one that probably could win is George P. Bush, but he also runs a very tight line of running on his name versus running on his record. And I do like him in Texas. Yeah. George P. is very good. That's actually Jeb's son. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think that she runs on a foreign policy that's in 2005. It's
not even neoconservative; it's neoliberal at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how much I hate the neoliberals. So, I mean, it's just not based on any form of reality at the current moment. So, the main threat is China, obviously. So we have to build up for that.
Yes. All right. That ends this episode. We're going to switch on over to the Patreon. So join us at patreon.com/RINOpod, patreon.com/RINOpod, only $1 a month. Tune on in. We'll be covering additional topics over there for the remainder. And yeah, we always appreciate our wonderful patrons. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be back very, very soon. Have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.
I do think we need to, hey,